Hi guys, in this video I will be explaining about vertical and horizontal line tests. Okay, let's start with vertical line test. By using vertical line test, we can decide whether a graph is a function or not. If a vertical line intersects with a graph at most once, so the graph is a function. We studied this in grade 10. For example, look at this graph. This is a graph. If I put a vertical line that's passing through the graph, it crosses the graph at 2 points, which is not possible. The graph must pass the line at most once, not twice. It's passed twice, so it's not a function. Another graph, this graph, when you put a line, it crosses once. Put another line somewhere else, once. No matter where you put the line, it crosses at most once, so that represents a function. This graph, when you put a line here, it cuts the graph at 1 point, here 1 point, here no point. So we said at most once, one or no point will be crossed by the line. So it is also a function. What about horizontal line tests? By using horizontal line tests, we can decide whether a graph of a function is one-to-one or not. If a horizontal line intersects with a graph of a function at most once, so the graph is a one-to-one function. So we can't test this graph to be one-to-one function or not, because that's not function itself. First of all, it must be a function. It doesn't pass through the vertical line test. It's passing through 2 points on the vertical line. It's not a function. So we can't talk about its having one-to-one function or not. So let's continue with other examples. This one, for example, when you use a horizontal line, it intersects with the graph at 1 point. Another line, 1 point. So no matter where you put the horizontal line, it intersects with the graph at 1 point. So it's a one-to-one function. Another function, when you put a horizontal line to this function, it intersects with the graph at 2 points. It's intersecting twice, which is not possible. So it's not one-to-one function. Let's take a look at some examples. If you know the rules, you can solve questions easily. Test prep 1. Which of the following graphs doesn't represent a function? So in order to figure out which one is a function, we use vertical line test. So when you put a vertical line, it's intersecting at once. Another line here somewhere else, once. This doesn't count because it's empty. There is only one filled point, so it's a function. Here, yes. Here, no. It's passing through these 2 points. So it's cutting the graph at 2 different points. So even though these points, these lines are passing through the graph at most once, here in these parts, in this part, it's passing through the graph at 2 different points. So it doesn't represent a function. It is not a function. Let's look at B. Here at this point, it's passing through only one. At this point, only one, because one empty, one filled. There is only one filled point here. Here, only one. So no matter where you put the line, it's passing through the graph with one point. So it is a function. Option C, no matter where you put the line, it is crossing the function at most once. So it is a function. Option D, once, 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 once. So it is also a function. Option A doesn't represent a function only because there are 2 points on top of each other. The line is crossing the points twice. So that doesn't represent a function. Example 2, test prep 19. Which one doesn't represent a one-to-one function? So in order to check whether the function is one-to-one or not, we should use horizontal line test. So when you put a horizontal line, it intersects with the graph at twice. So that doesn't represent a one-to-one function. Here, once, once, once. So no matter where you put the horizontal line, it passes through the graph at most once. So it's a one-to-one function. Here also every line will cross the function at once. So it is a one-to-one function. Here, everywhere, the function is intersecting with the graph at once. So it is a one-to-one function. Only option A is not representing one-to-one function because it's intersecting with the graph at twice. So let's take a look at some ministry questions. 2021, second attempt ministry question. Which one is one-to-one function? So use horizontal line test. So here it's passing through the function at once, here once, here once, once. So it is one-to-one function. But in option A, when you put a line here, it's passing through two different points. Here, 1, 2, 3 different points. So it doesn't represent a function. Option C, 2 points, 2 points. So it doesn't represent a function. Option D, here 1, but here 2 points. So it doesn't represent a one-to-one function. Only option B, no matter where you put the line, horizontal line, it is crossing the function at most once. So we should remember the rules. If a horizontal line intersects with the graph at most once, so it's one-to-one. If a vertical line of a graph with a graph at most once, so the function graph is function. So these two are important to figure out whether the function is whether the graph is function and whether the graph function is one-to-one. Another ministry question, 2021 first attempt ministry question. Which one represents a function? So this time we use vertical line test. Here it is passing through twice. It is passing through twice, so it doesn't represent a function. Here, it's passing through the graph at 3 different points, so it doesn't represent a function. Here, once, 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 twice. At this point, the vertical line will intersect with the graph at twice, so it doesn't represent a function. Here in option C, once, none, once, 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 none, once. So in option C, our vertical lines are intersecting with the graph at most once. So that option represents a function.